Hello and welcome to Coil Calling. I'm Ajay Shaw, and today we are going to talk about farming crisis in our country. So first, I would like to welcome here Mr. Nilanjan Banik, professor from Bennett University, Greater Noida. Thank you so much, sir, for coming here and joining here with us. What will make the Indian farmers happy? And so, what is your view on this?
Okay, I'm very glad that you asked this question. So let me start with some known facts. What are these known facts? In India, the farmers are poor. Majority of our farmers, almost 85% of around 500 million farmers we are talking about, are actually small and marginal farmers with less than 2 hectares of land holdings. And if you look into the all India average land holding size of any typical farmers, it is around only 1.15 hectare. Why I'm telling you all this thing? Because if you see, in order to mechanize our agriculture, you need a contiguous parcel of land which is more than 2 hectares. Now, even with this 1.15 hectares of land that we are talking about, which is the average land holding size of any Indian farmer, these lands are not contiguous, which means it is just not possible for this farmer to mechanize agriculture. Because in order to operate your tractor in a meaningful way, all you have to have at least a parcel of land which is around 3 to 4 hectares. Unfortunately, for 85% of the farmer, it's not the case. So this also explains why, in spite of India producing all this agricultural item in such large scale, in terms of productivity, we are on one of the least productive country in the world. Which also means that because productivity is linked with your income, the farm income in India is low. So that partly explains how come the income of Indian farmers are so low. And to top that, another piece of information I'm sure that all of you know is only 35% of our land are actually irrigated, which means a vast majority of our land, net zone area, is not irrigated. Again, what it means? It also explains why do we see all these crop failures and why do we see also the farmers committing suicide because of crop failures. Now, these are the factors which are given. The government, and in economics we say that these are the exogenous factor. The government cannot do to change this scenario in the short run through policy. But what would make more sense is the government to see what are the policy that the government can take to address this rural distress. The policies, for instance, Copenhagen Consensus and Tata Trust, they have come out with what is known as Indian Consensus, where they are trying to identify the policy which will give the maximum benefit to the farmers. And so I have worked this particular paper which was commissioned by the Copenhagen Consensus and Tata Trust. I worked as a researcher where we basically try to understand what are the policy intervention that the government can take which will alleviate this farm distress. So I looked into 3 policy interventions. The first is the loan waiver program. The second is what are the benefits that the farmers are likely to get from building more cold storage and warehouses facility. And the third intervention that I looked at is what is the benefit that the farmers are going to get from e-market, from the introduction of e-market. Now, each one of this has, as I said, has a cost component associated with that and also the benefit. For instance, if I'm building a cold storage facility, the cost component would be the cost of constructing this cold storage. The benefit is, of course, all the vegetable, all this high valued vegetables which are otherwise getting wasted will now not get wasted because of you have an access to cold storage facility. So the higher the benefit in relation to the cost, more fruitful on part of the government to follow that policy. Why? Because the government also operates with a fixed pot of money. And hence the necessity for the government to prioritize their spending. So what is coming out from our research is the maximum benefit that the farmers are going to get is through introduction of e-market or e-mandi, followed by building more cold storage. And it does not make any economic sense, whether we like it or we don't like it, to follow the farm loan waivers, because it does not give any economic benefit to the small farmers. Because only 15% of this 85% of the small and marginal farmers that we are talking about are actually the one who get access to formal credit. And when we are talking about the loan waivers, it is the waiving of the formal credit that is something we are talking about. So the majority of the farmers are not getting any benefit.
Thank you, Mr. Nilanjan Banik. We have here with us also Dr. Buddhadev Ghosh. Yes, he is scientist, ISI Kolkata, and All India Observer of Manrega Niti Aayog, New Delhi. So, what is your view on this, and what is the particular solution?
So, this is a good question. But from where should I begin? That is again another problem. In Indian universities, colleges and schools, whatever social science and particularly development economics and planning are taught, this is very tragic. Nothing is taught which are learned from India. Most of the textbooks are taken either from Europe or from America. And in development models, most of the things are homogenized. On the other hand, India is so diverse, topographically, culturally, socially, occupationally, and in all other respects, that it is difficult to capture India, particularly Indian rural districts and the farmers, by a simple act. Though same thing was understood from the NREGA also. Initially, they made a homogeneous policy, gradually they diversified it. So, if I talk about agriculture, if I talk about Bengal, that is not enough. If you concentrate on Purulia, that is different from the character of Hooghly. If you concentrate on Hooghly, that is completely different from Darjeeling. So, it is very difficult to capture under one banner, under one argumental logic. It is impossible to articulate the one cause. So,
my next question is, it is related to that what is the solution for the farmer distress?
So, Nilanjan was correct that Indian farming community, they are helpless people. They are unskilled. They are as if they are cast in doing agricultural works. So, they are so disintegrated, there is no easy way to integrate them. Topographically and occupationally, if Government of India brings some policies which will be applicable to particular topographies, and almost 60 years ago, Professor Mohanlal gave this idea to Government of India through NSSO regions. Each region in India was classified by climate, rainfall, topography, soil and occupation. And there are now perhaps 78 regions which are differentiated from each other, and each state there are 5-6 regions. So, if somehow Government of India, as Nilanjan was telling, could integrate the farmers through e-mandi, no, not possible. Most of the farmers are illiterate, they have not seen computer. By computer, they think something of another human species which has evolved in recent period. So, government should somehow either allow the big companies under government's trust or some national level institutions. So, by some way or other, if as in NREGA, MGNREGA, government can link the poor and marginal small farmers. He was correct, Nilanjan, that in Bengal 98.6% farmers are small, marginal and helpless. All India this percentage is very high, around more than 80%. So, they cannot be linked through the existing institutional system because there is ghost in the system. I have seen time and again. So, these ghosts cannot be identified.
Are you talking about the middleman or?
Part of the things are middleman, part of the things local political leaders. Okay. So, somehow the small farmers must be linked, as in many central government schemes initiated by the recent government. For example, skill formation, for example, Rozgar Yojana, for example, NREGA, and the task cannot be solely dependent upon the panchayats, because panchayat's character also we know every panchayat what they are doing. It must be monitored and regularly evaluated by independent organization, and only then the farmers can think of benefit from cultivation. Otherwise, they have to go on selling their price at a cost of production and less.
Okay. So, what is your view on this? That political cloud is affecting them positively or somehow negatively as well?
See, this is such a nice question. I have to go beyond the question. In a recent discussion, I have seen a proverb that human beings are divided into 3 classes.
Okay.
Male, female and politicians. So I do not know whether they are human or not, but the problem is in India vote started much before India becoming literate. Vote started much before India had a fair society, because a poor man has the same vote and a celebrity has the same single vote.
Okay.
So the more the poor, I am totally convinced now, in a sense maybe a bit depressed, the more the poor, the more the helpless class, better for the politicians. So at the end of the day, the local leaders and most politicians, they try to maintain poverty at a 25% level in India for last 70 years. This is very amazing. The 25% poverty line, and poverty line definition, you know, you cannot make one jal khabar or one breakfast in a day. But they think that 350 rupees per month for one person, even if you go to burn a dead body, it takes 1000 more. So 350 poverty line, nonsense. And 25% poverty, that is bottom quartile, this is as if a guaranteed number by the parliament.
Okay. That's really interesting. So we can see there are so many things to do to resolve this problem, no doubt about it. But once again, I would like to concentrate on the e-mandis.
See, what is more important from the farmer's perspective,
yes,
is to get access to the market.
Okay.
Now, if I am looking at the number of markets, agricultural markets in India, it is around 29,600 agricultural markets are there. Now, out of which around 6,600 markets fall under APMC Act. Now, out of that 600 market which are falling under APMC Act, only 585 of them have been earmarked to be designated as e-mandi. Now, in what way the e-mandi is different than the regular market? For that, you have to understand a typical day in a farmer's life. So, what happens is, this particular farmer, he or she will wake up early in the morning and try to go in this government regulated market, the number which I just now said, around 6,600, and they would try to take a vantage position in the market, because around 9 or 10 in the morning, so this farmer is coming 6 in the morning, right? And they want to take the vantage position in the entry of the market. The idea being, when the traders come, they will be the first one, the farmers who are sitting at the entry of the market, all likelihood their produce are going to get traded first, you know. So this traders will come around 9 or 10 in the morning, and they will randomly pick up all the samples of the produce that these agricultural people are bringing to the market. And then they will go on their own way, trying to identify the quality of this produce. And around 12 or 1 in the afternoon, so this farmer has sat through for this entire stretch of 6 or 7 hours. This trader will come, and then the auctioning starts. And most of these traders, they are actually in hand in gloves with themselves. So at the time of auctioning, what happens is, they quote a price which is actually less than what otherwise this particular produce of crop otherwise would have stated. So Dr. Ghosh was talking about that the farmers are not getting anything. I would actually go beyond that. I would argue the farmers are actually getting less than their marginal cost of what these produce for the production of their cost. Now, e-mandi in this perspective was thought as a respite. Why? Because in this case, we are taking away this middleman or the traders, and the farmers will get an option to sell directly to any potential buyers, not only from his district, from other state as well. Now, what is the problem with the e-market as of now? The problem is, let's say I am seeing a particular type of crop. Let's say I want to buy a potato and I am seeing a particular variety of potato. I am seeing the picture. But when it comes to the point of delivery, I might be sitting at, let's say, Maharashtra, and the potato seller might be sitting at, let's say, Agra. And the picture that I see, what was promised to me will be delivered in Maharashtra, at the time when I am getting that produce, might be totally different than the thing that I am seeing on picture. So there is no dispute settlement mechanism as of now when it comes to e-market. And not only that, if you go to any e-market, you will find that there are also lack of infrastructure for grading and sorting any agricultural produce. Now, grading and sorting become very important because, as you know, that within a particular variety of crop, let's say rice, wheat, maize, you will find the variety is so much different. Each one of them within rice, you will find that you can get, for instance, basmati chal for 100 rupees a kilo. You can also get other basmati chal for 45 rupees a kilo. So, as a buyer, how I know which quality of rice is actually sold to me? Because as a seller, I will always try to portray the best quality to you. And because of lack of this grading and sorting facility, not too much trade is happening through the e-market. And Dr. Ghosh has also mentioned there is a lack of literacy about the trading through the computers, you know. And one of my co-author, Dr. Anurag Banerjee, he is working on financial literacy, and he is also going to speak about this.
Literacy of farmers in financial products, which is related to the agricultural sector, especially in context of the e-mandi scheme of the government of India. So the problem, usually I would think of an e-mandi where you are apart from the physical infrastructure, is the fact that people's awareness, especially rural populations' awareness of agriculture is pretty low. Of agricultural financial products is low, and the level of ownership of these financial products is also quite low. For example, in the 2015 survey of Survey of Financial Literacy by NCFE India, with which we are working on, is that there are 4 products we actually surveyed, of which the most people who are aware of is the government subsidized debt scheme and crop insurance. But even that, the government subsidized debt scheme for agriculture, is the awareness levels is only 41%, where the crop insurance is 27.55%. Now, another problem with the crop insurance and cattle insurance, which is 23.5% of people who are aware of that, is the fact that all of these are actually included in any kind of debt taken from the banks. And therefore, when you ask the question of inclusion, is only 1.67% say that they are, and they are actually aware, and they have actually got a crop insurance or a cattle insurance. Now, under this context, we also talked about agricultural futures, which is actually very related to the e-mandi scheme. For agricultural futures, only 8.79% of people are aware of what is even an agricultural future in the rural markets. So if we are trying to set up an exchange for agricultural products, whether spot or futures, it is very important to increase the awareness of various schemes, of various products, financial products available to them.
So because of this, we see out of 450 million odd farmers, as of date, only 6 to 7% of the farmers are able to take benefit of this e-mandi. And out of that, out of total 100% produce, only 2% of the produce are actually getting traded through e-mandi. So the need of the hour is for the government how to scale this up, because e-mandi is a fantastic idea. The need of the hour is to how to scale this up. I think Dr. Ghosh has also done some study.
Let me link the e-market and the loan waiver. Yes. So I am proud that I was born in a farming family in Hooghly district in Dhoniakali region. So actually I have been from a old Jamindari family. But so my childhood experience is amazing. I have read hundreds of thousands of books on these topics, or the social institutional evolution in Europe, America and Japan. But my childhood experience is more powerful than these books. That is the interesting point. that when I go to village in some occasion or during Durga Puja, etc., when the people with whom I spend my childhood, they come to me in the evening, we discuss. Whenever I refer to them, e-mandi, laptop, and future market, etc., they laugh at me. Sometimes some of my friends, old friends, they told me, no, you live in Mars or any other planet. No, I live in the world. I live in India. I live in Bengal. No, what are you speaking? What are
it's
these?
Not making any sense.
These are eatable or wearable. So I have faced this problem. So I do not talk on these. Whenever somebody forces me to talk, I tell them I am a illiterate farmer's son. Now coming to his second question, that loan waiver. See, again, I began first from the institutional mechanism. We have totally failed even after 70 years of independence and almost 60 years of democracy. From 1952, our general election is going on. The problem is, who are going to the formal credit market? Nilanjan is working on it. I do not work much on it, but I have some of the greatest articles and organized books on it. Who goes to the formal credit market? Those who have networking, those who have some respect and power in the local rural economy, those whose children are educated, those who can sign and understand the forms and etc., those who do not fear the bank, those who know that whatever you take loan at some point in time in future, you can totally ignore paying these. There is no incentive and penalty in our country. So, Nilanjan is correct, around 6 or less than 6% of these loan waivers are from the needy family. Rest of those who have networking in the society, and loan waiver only increases future inequality in our country. So this is the real picture of India.
I think we can end this discussion by saying that the Indian farmers have a long way to go,
Yes.
and it's not something that the government, even if they want to do, can do it in a short period of time. But as you correctly pointed out, that the aspiration of, we cannot negate the aspiration of the small and marginal farmers, and we have to see their welfare, to their welfare, And
So thank you so much, Mr. Nilanjan Banik and Dr. Ghosh here. Thank you so much to the entire audience of Calling. Thank you.